We're told, if you become a Christian, what? You'll be a new man, a new woman. You're going to be different. You're going to be different. That all things are passed away. Behold, all things have become new. You'll be a new creature, a new being. Totally different than who you are now. And yet what we experience is just a change in our thinking that modifies our behavior to some degree. But in the difficult areas, especially in the realm of immorality, that's where Christianity just seems to come all apart because of the lack of a tangible relationship with God. Within what we know within the Christian community, we haven't been giving answers to those who are struggling with immorality. And the reality is we don't do a really good job with anyone who's struggling with addictions. We just, we're Nike Christians, just opposite of it. Just don't do it. Just don't do it. Here's what God expects of you. Now, start living the right lifestyle. But that isn't working. There are people who are leaving the Christian community in droves right now because of the fact that it's not working for the most difficult problems in their life. Now, what is it we're missing? What is it we've been missing? I believe with all my heart that in the Christian community, we've moved away from what I call a tangible relationship with God. And we approach God from an intellectual level only. When we have a problem, we think about, wow, what would God do in this? And we really don't even, God seems distant to most Christians. Guidance it's hard to hear God. You're not quite sure what he wants you to do. So when you have a problem, what do you do? What do you do? You end up going to Scripture, looking for answers that seem to bring some level of mental peace, even though only momentarily to you, and you hold on to those, and those are the ones you quote to yourself over and over to try to create some realm of faith. It's presumptuous faith because of the fact you don't really know what God's doing. You're confused, and what you expected in Christianity, you gave up on that years ago, is the reality and the truth. We're told, if you become a Christian, what? You'll be a new man, a new woman. You're going to be different. You're going to be different. That all things are passed away. Behold, all things have become new. You'll be a new creature, a new being. Totally different than who you are now. And yet what we experience is just a change in our thinking that modifies our behavior to some degree. But in the difficult areas, especially in the realm of immorality, that's where Christianity just seems to come all apart because of the lack of a tangible relationship with God. Now, what is it about Christianity that makes it different? What is it that makes it different? The one outrageous claim that Christianity makes, that no other world religion would have the nerve, the gall, the audacity to even suggest, is that God will come and reside within you, and you in him. Now think about that. Think about that. God in you, and you in him. Now, if that were to actually take place, and that's what we believe as a Christian community, whether it is Protestant or Catholic, that's a foundational belief. Shouldn't something overwhelming, dramatic change happen in our lives, and shouldn't it be immediate? Not something that has to be logically thought through, or a process that we have to go through, or a lifelong journey. Shouldn't it be instantaneous if God comes inside of a human being? Now, think about that for a moment. Just think about it for a moment. God speaks a word, and entire worlds come into existence. He could take the bones of dead people, put them together, and put muscle and tendons and flesh over it and breathe life into it. He brings people back from the dead. He heals incurable diseases just with a word. Just with a word. And we're going to say God comes inside of us and he's there, but not much really happens. We're still struggling here. And we modify it by saying, well, you're living in a fallen world. You're living in a fallen world. I remember I was speaking at a local church here in San Antonio, my hometown, large church, and I was teaching on a seminar at that time called Living Without Emotional Pain. And I made the statement about the Surgeon General's report in the 90s, I believe it was, that he said if all Americans were tested, that 1/4 of them would be suffering from some form of mental illness or emotional illness. And in between sessions, I came off and the man who had sponsored me and talked the church into allowing me to have the seminar there said, and he was a psychologist, did a lot of counseling. He said, you do know that includes depression? I said, sure it does. And then I went on and taught, and afterwards I thought, you've got to be kidding. What he was saying to me is, as Christians, depression is so rampant within our lives, so rampant within our lives that we now consider it a normal part. That God being in us doesn't really affect it that much. You're going to have to work at it to get over depression. That's what he was actually saying. And the statistics will show that's really true. So what is the answer? And I think it's God has to become tangible in your life. At some point, you have to move beyond the knowledge on those pages. You have to move beyond wherever your belief system is, and God has to become tangible. And when that happens, the miraculous takes place. And at that moment of time, you'll be a new creature, a new creation, a new man, a new woman. And those struggles that you don't tell anybody about will finally be over. Those immorality problems, they'll be ended for you. The pull toward them will be gone once God becomes tangible. And that's what this podcast is all about. Stick with me. I want to close the podcast and if I remember to do this every time. Years ago, I created a sign-off for a man that I really care about for his television radio programs. And because I created it, I want to use it as the sign-off here. You're never alone. You're never without purpose or value. I don't care who you are. You're never unloved. No matter what your life looks like right now, you're who you are because of the artist who put you together. Don't you give up. Don't you give up. Hey viewers and listeners, this is Rod Pruitt. Want to help someone experience a tangible encounter with God? Then simply click on the like and subscribe buttons below. Yet more important, take the time and click on the share button to make sure your friends know about this intimate God relationship. That's all you have to do. Thanks for caring.